Welcome everybody to what is now, I think it's week 6 of the Razer Academy videos. It's myself, Toby, bringing you out what is LearnDOTA. That's right, every single week we try and go through everything that will help you to learn Dota. We go through bit by bit, different focus every single week, sometimes multiple focuses in one week. And as always, we have question time. So if you want to, post up your questions in the comment section below. And we'll see what we can do. See if we can answer some of your questions. And as always, let's start with that. So I want to start with a couple of questions to start with. And there's going to be a couple of things which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So your questions, they're not always going to appear at the very, very start right now, because there is one question which we're going to address in about 15 minutes time. So let's see if we can get this right. We're going to start up with Lumberjack Pirate. Now he actually asked, how do I get into the competitive scene of Dota in Australia? And I'm really glad that he asked this question, because being Australian, I'm like, you know what, man, I could probably answer that question. And at this point, it's not easy. The place where you always used to be able to get into any competitive scene was at Cybergamer. It's the biggest network down in Australia as far as all the competitive scenes go. Unfortunately, the Dota ladder never really ran very, very smoothly. The Dota 2 ladder, however, any team can sign up. You just sign up, make an account, and you can go nuts from there. So it's very, very easy to do that kind of thing. As far as leagues and pro teams and stuff like that, it kind of varies around different places. I hear there's a couple of new leagues kicking off. I was actually linked to one before. That was a very, very long conversation track ago. The Oceanic Dota 2 League, there we go. So if you look that up, you might be able to find a good league. It's only a very, very new one, but I've been told by good people that it should be a very, very popular thing. So it's brand new. Who knows? Might be awesome. Could be awesome. Should be awesome. You'll have to check it out, and you have to be part of it for it to be awesome. Let's jump into one another build. Oh my freaking god, give me a name. He's asking questions about building Axe. Now, builds on Axe. A lot of people can think, okay, well, when I first look at Axe, do I think a jungle hero? That could be what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at someone that just wants to sit inside the jungle. I buy a stout shield to get a couple of ironwood branches, a couple of consumables, and just counter helix the creep waves. Most of the time, if you're going to play Axe and you play him as a supporting role, you want to get Battle Hunger leveled up as early as possible. Get a couple of Clarity Potions and get yourself down, if you're playing in the Radiant, for example, onto that bottom lane and just throw that Battle Hunger on whoever is down there. The tick damage on that is insane. So if you want to go for a good build for Axe, you try and get one up in that Battle Hunger, use it to harass, you get one and maybe counter helix. Generally, you can even just skip the call and you get a couple of points on stats, and that lets you have an extra bit of a mana pool. Battle Hunger does take a lot out of your mana pool, but you keep a couple of stats up, all your other stuff will come in time, and that just comes down to the rest of your team supporting you, so you get levels, and that's always the kind of thing with support heroes. If you're going to go a support hero, you have to ensure that your rest of your team, that sacrifice which you have at the very, very start, they help you make up later on, so you can get those levels and you can get that advantage back inside the game. Dr. Gaming Guy asked the question, can you over-dominate lanes? Now, last week we talked about tri-lanes, and we talked about it being from your perspective or from the opposite perspective, and it's actually funny. In a game we had today, there's the perfect example. The perfect example of over-dominating a lane. You had Enchantress, Leshrac, as well as one other hero, which is not coming to mind right now. And they pushed down the tier 1 tower very early on, going up against a Broodmother, and they thought, you know what, we can do this. We'll just keep pounding them down, and they got past the tier 1 tower, they dominated it really hard, they took out the tier 1 tower, and they stopped there. And that is where their problem came in, because then they had to go across the river where they could possibly get ganked, down next to the tier 2 tower against an invisible Broodmother, and at that point it's like, okay, this isn't really working for us because we can't go down without risking our lives being taken, and Broodmother had a soul ring by that point and can harass back. And this is the kind of stuff you've got to deal with when you're looking at how far your tri-lane should go down or how far you should dominate a lane, because sometimes you can over-dominate, but if you keep dominating, then you're good. If it's the early domination and you just let off, then it's a problem. If you keep it on and you keep on pushing down, then it's good. So it's the different levels of domination. Domination can force resources to be pulled from other lanes. So if you're pushing on the top, then the mid or the bottom lane of your opposition has to pull those supports from those lanes to help deal with that top lane push. And stuff like that, domination is the key. If not, got to think about just how well it works for you. You gain that area of the map because the tier 1 tower goes down, but is it the best area to control of the map? Is it better for the opposition to be next to their tier 2 tower and try and farm from that one? That's the early game domination. Early game is always this little fun little thing of where do I win? How strong is my lane? It's a fun thing to watch in pubs because most of the time your combinations are not completely set because most people just go random heroes or they go heroes which they just want to play, but doesn't 100% work with your entire draft. So it's always a bit of a problem if you try and do that kind of stuff. But yeah, dominance, just think about how much you're going to get from dominating a lane and just how far you can when you try and go on it. Okay. Couple of other things. Nevo271 asked me a question. Items on hero. Now, he used this. It was a very, very broad question, and in the end, I'm going to actually use your example, man, that you asked about, and it was about Lion. And what items should you get on heroes? What lets you make the most of that hero? And it was the examples of, should I get like a Blink Dagger on Lion? Or should I get like a Dagon on Lion? So a Dagon on Lion supports the ultimate of Lion because it's a huge amount of burst damage you can get out from that. You have the damage from your Impale, then the damage from your Dagon, and the damage from the Finger of Death. And you have the time as well through the Hex of Lion. So it's a great combination to have. The problem you're going to have later on, though, is the Dagon kind of caps. You'd never really want to spend the extra money to level up to Dagon 5 or something like that. You can spend that money on other more important things for your team. So that early burst damage, yeah, it's a good combination, but how does it help you on later in your team? Like, you can get a Blink Dagger online, and then the range you get, like it's having a Blink Dagger on SK. Like, SK will blink and then burrow, and that range is different to just the burrow strike range. And with Lion, it's the same. So you'll blink to a point, and then you'll burrow round. And because of that, it's like, well, that's absolutely amazing for me because I've still got this amount of range where I would have only had this amount of range. So if you want to use Lion for initiation, that's when you go your Blink Dagger. If you want to go Lion to initial burst damage, that means you've got to get in closer because you're not going to get Blink Dagger and Dagon very early on, not in the period where they can both be effective. So you've got to look at your items for what you want to go on your hero to go with your focus in the game. Do I want to do burst damage or do I want to have the range initiate and make the opening for my team? Hopefully that answers your question, man. Next question, and for this one, we're going to jump ourselves inside. Whoops, hello, may contain coarse language. That is possible as well. We're going to jump ourselves inside. Did I get my right screen region? There's my right screen region. We're going to jump ourselves inside a game of Dota 2. So for all those guys out there who's like, show me the game, please, for the love of God, show me the game. I will now show you the game. So this is a question from Stephen Lloyd, and it's a question on how do I last hit? This is something which is different for every single person. So let's pick my favorite hero. It's the Drow Ranger. So we'll make a run towards the bottom lane, and while she's running down here, doesn't matter about items. Now, there's a couple of things you can do with last hitting. The way I like to run it is I have auto attack left on. And what I use is my stop button. So when you're ever running, you just hit S and you'll stop. Go, S, stop, go, 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 go. And she'll just keep doing this the entire time. And by doing this, you kind of keep your momentum going. And I prefer to do it this way because it's all about a game. Like, you never really stand still in Dota. If you start standing still in Dota, then you're going to get stunned, then you're going to get picked off, and you'd be like going, well, oh my God, I should have seen that coming because I stood there and Mirana hit me with an arrow. That kind of just makes everything like crappy around you. So how do you deal with that? You keep yourself moving, you keep moving yourself into position, and yeah. You can always just A, if you hit A and then just click, you're going to attack anything on your way that way. So if you want to do it auto attack that way, you can do so, and it gives you, well, at least a couple more options if you want to do this next option. So the next option I want to show you is in here. Now, your options, where are you? Ability. Got to remember where to actually find this bloody thing. But you got the option to auto attack or not. Where are you? I'll show you're in unit actions.
Battle begins.
But there's your attack move. That's all your stop kind of stuff. Courier delivery items. I'm really bad. I don't have that selected there.
I've waited for
Ability
this
upgrade. Where the hell is this thing? I kind of knew where this thing was about like maybe 5 minutes ago when I was going through it. But I've actually just finished broadcasting a complete day, so it's just not coming to mind. Anyway, the option is in there. The option is in there where you can stop auto-attacking. And by doing that, it lets your hero just stand there and do nothing. So the creep wave will come in, and it'll be like just having a permanent stop on there. Like, this is my hero auto-attacking. And if you're out of range, excuse me, when you are out of range, it'll then do nothing. And there'll be the similar effect, like if you're next to the tower. Apologies, I don't know where the frickin' thing is in the options. But if you come in close, you look around, and you try and time it right. So it's about knowing the animation of your hero. So you just keep on going around. It's like, okay, now I got to pull back and then attack. So that timing, that attack speed timing, you just got to try and work out exactly what each hero is, because each hero is going to be slightly different. It's just what happens with the heroes. The heroes have a different attack animation. Every single one of them has a different attack animation. So the time what you go, hello, just dying in the middle of this. From the time when you right-click and say, please attack this unit, and the time when it does actually attack the unit, they're two very, very different things. So you got to try and work it out for every hero. So you try and just practice on one hero and practice your last hitting. And you can do it with this. Like I just created a custom game, went in there and just started last hitting the normal wave, which was pulling in. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And you could do that. And for every hero, you should do that, just so you can work out how they work and where the attack animation comes from. Look to see where the projectile comes from and when it's going to hit. So that timing of travel between yourself and the enemy creep, and just trying to work out that kind of timing. You can use your stop, and you'll hear it in like a lot of pro games. Like if you ever see Anti-Mage, you hear the kind of sound. And notice him with his blades, and it's just the guy just tapping S. So it's just stopping the attack. So no matter what happens, you can see the attack going to come, and all you got to do is just wait for the end initial hit. And that end hit is what gives you the last hit. So you can try and practice thing out with that kind of stuff. As again, apologies, I don't know where that freaking thing is. My bad. But that's the fun kind of thing. Also, I want to apologize too. Wow, I'm doing a lot of apologies this week. I meant to do a video last week. I was at Valve, and I came back, and this one's also pretty late in the week as well. Main reason for that is I have been exhausted. We've had a couple of broadcasts here and there, but it's actually, my body still is not adjusting to coming back from the American time. So it's fun. It's fun. Let's just say body clocks and going from American to European time. I think it was actually easier going from European time to Asia time. That was easier. What I want to show you now is a little bit different, and this is going to be something which I kind of wanted to do a while ago. And when I first thought of this, I thought, okay, how do I do this without offending every single person that likes to watch this? And at the end of the day, I've got to start this off with like a disclosure thing, where I will be talking about Heroes of Newerth, League of Legends, Dota 2, as well as a couple of other things like Blizzard DOTA, Demigod, and a couple of these other little things which came from the Dota genre. Now, I say Dota genre as well because I know a lot of people out there, if you started in the world of League of Legends, you'll know the genre as MOBA. If you started in Heroes of Newerth, you'll know it as Action RTS. If you'll know it from the Dota world, you just call it Dota. So there's many, many definitions which people try to come up to try and explain the game style and where it comes from. At the end of the day, Dota is still a 5v5, and you just take out each other's main base. That's the objective. Everything else in the middle of it, it changes. Between LoL, between Hon is different to Dota as well. Because Hon's changed around the way it works and the different kind of heroes, and that changes the game. So Hon is a different game to Dota. League of Legends is a completely different game to both Dota and Hon because it has a different kind of focus. They change more key things. So last hitting uphill, so you don't have any hills, so you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. No destructible environment, but they use the environment in different ways. You can hide in shrubs, you can move in that kind of stuff. So it's a different approach when it comes to team fights and positioning and stuff like that. So it is a very, very different style of game. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying it's a different style. Some require a different way of moving around the map, which people might say is a little bit more high skill, but it's like comparing first-person shooters on a PC and a console. And bear with me for this analogy. When you're a first-person shooter on a PC, you use this thing. You use a mouse and you use a keyboard. This has faster, like you can react so much faster with these things. Your precision is a lot higher and the way you move is a lot faster. Where a console, you use 2 analog sticks and you got bumpers to use as well. That kind of thing, it moves you slower because your camera is not the flick of a mouse or a movement of a key. It's when you push a stick and then you move around. It takes you longer to move, but it's a different skill set. This moves faster, which means you've got to change around and act at that speed as well. Where if you use a console, you've got to push these things to the limits. Now, I watched a lot of Halo back in Australia, and these guys use the sticks, and it's insane to watch them play. It's like watching these guys who play PC COD, and they just destroy everything so damn fast, and you don't know how they do it. And it's the same thing for console. If you put the 2 screens next to each other, and you said, this is PC, this is Xbox COD, and you go, wow, these guys move a lot faster, because it's PC, it's the way they go. But the skill level required is still very, very similar. And for me, it's the same when you look at LoL as well as Dota. The skill level is set to their game. So one might be slower, but it's that skill set you need to play that game which cannot be replicated in another game. There's some things which cross over and those skills can be transferred. And the way to understand the entire concept of the game is still the same. Because LoL and Dota, they're the same. If you go down to the raw concept. And that is 5v5, take out the opposing thrones. Domination, a little bit different, but is capture the flag kind of thing. Like the amount of game modes you can have in a first-person shooter is ridiculous. It doesn't make it a brand new game. It just means having a different mode. So it still comes down to the original concept was 5v5, take out the main fortresses. That's the way it rolls. For those two also who just like wondering what the hell I am talking about, let me just jump this little guy in here. I put a different screen region up so you can watch this one. Let's look. This is League of Legends. So we'll just control this sound a little bit so it doesn't sound way too loud. So this is made by Riot Games. And if you go back, Riot Games, they actually created a really, really smart game. This is made by a guy called Gwinsu. He was the main developer for League of Legends. And this is, like, I actually really enjoyed this trailer just because it looks so totally boss. Okay, League of Legends, made by one of the main developers of Dota 1. This is back when it was being made in Warcraft 3, a guy called Gwinsu. And he decided, you know what? I want to make a game which is so much more for the public. And that's exactly what he did. A lot more simple in concepts, got a little bit more complicated though with the amount of heroes you got to know and the way the runes actually work and then the leveling system and what you can buy, what you can't buy, and you're combining all these kind of things together. And that is something where you go, well, okay, League of Legends, you still did a good job. Your community loves it, the community plays nicely with it, and they understand the world of it. They can understand how the game functions. And it worked out pretty nicely. You gotta say, really, really good game. Different concept, but also a good way of running the game. I gotta stop praising it right now because, yeah, I just love this trailer. It's actually really nicely done. There's some things which are just completely over the top, but hey, this is game trailers. This is game trailers. But this is League of Legends. So League of Legends, a very, very cartoony kind of style, but catered to a very, very casual community. Now, you can look at something else. Now, this game was made by S2. So there's S2 Games. They made a game called Heroes of Newerth, known to the world in short as HON. And Heroes of Newerth was a game which was designed and actually marketed as a clone of Dota. They had in a lot of their original marketing where it was Dota but better. And that's because they copied all the original heroes. The map did change up a little bit in the way the game engine changed up a little bit too. It was a different way of approaching the engine because they wanted to add a whole bunch more features, but they also wanted to make it a little bit faster, a little bit more easier paced. Yeah, thanks to the little rock music. But this is just something that they want to do. So you notice it's a lot more different to the Warcraft 3 version of it. They try and make the colors a lot more in-depth. They want to go, ooh, ah, when you try and play it, because that's a big thing for Warcraft 3, where the graphics would be set. It feels a lot more spammy though because the way they've done this, and this is just the feeling that a lot of people do enjoy from Heroes of Newerth. Not for everybody. It is not for everybody, and we can look at, if we want to, the balances. And this is kind of where it goes. And this is the biggest point I can bring up with the Heroes of Newerth community, where they go, okay, well, Heroes of Newerth kicked off, and how did it go? Like, you started off, and it was like, exact copy of Dota. Then they add their own heroes. They change certain parts of these heroes, and it doesn't become Dota anymore. So when you look at LoL, when you look at Dota, when you look at Dota 2, when you look at Heroes of Newerth, look at the heroes that are actually in the lineups and say, what has been changed? How is this balanced? How do all these heroes interact with each other? If you can pick 5 heroes, and they can be different every single time, is there that dynamic in these heroes? How is the balance there? Are they utility heroes? Utility heroes, heroes that with just plain abilities can really change the way that the game is played. And for me, that's the big thing. It's what changes the game between a public game and a competitive game. Because if you have a public game, then it's whatever heroes you want. The balance doesn't always have to be there, because you're not always going to be like banning a hero to stop someone from picking the same hero that can do the same sort of thing. You pick a hero that you enjoy to play, and you go in there and you do it. That's a public hero, and that's what League of Legends is great for. Great for public gaming. When it comes to games like Dota and Hon, these games utilize utility heroes. So heroes that have extra stuns, things that can control team fights without having to have the farm. It maybe just levels, or maybe will require farm. And this is the kind of things which just balance themselves out. And it's this whole thing of, you balance the world of Dota, or Hon, or LoL. And that's where the competitive scene will look for these exploits. If there's not balance there, the players will find it. The players will exploit it, which allows them to get the win. It's the reason why, if you look at StarCraft 2, there's these tiny little tinkers which happen, but the units stay the same. Like, there's so many units in the original Wings of Liberty. When StarCraft 2 first came out, there were so many units in the Terran campaign. The Diamondbacks will never appear in the competitive world of StarCraft, in the multiplayer part of it, where you play off against other people, because there's no counter unit to it. There's nothing which can be balanced with it. And it's the same thing when you try and analyze Dota. If there's no balance in it all, do you go, well, did this work? Why is this hero in here when he throws the game into imbalance? That's when you hear people saying, this is OP, this is overpowered. This ability in itself, like the Windrunner Shackle Shot, is a big thing of contention. Not from me as such. I see it as a great thing. To control teamfights where you can shackle 2 heroes together for a large amount of time, like a teamfight can be over by the time you get out of that shackle, or you'll be dead by the time you get out of that shackle. And you're like, okay, that's a big ability. But is it OP? Is there a counter to it? Is there something else that can, like another hero on the map which can go for it? And when you think about it too, and I know I talk to a lot of my friends who play League of Legends, it's like, if I ban out one hero in LoL, does it affect the game? If I ban out that one hero, is there another hero the opposition can select that will do the same job? And that's where you can go, is this game balanced? Because if you can ban out one hero and there's no other hero that can perform that role, then you're like, awesome. This game is balanced. Because, I know that's a very, very gross generalization, but you can look at it that way and say, okay, if I can remove out one hero, and that means they can't just pick another person off doing that. You're not doubling up on hero abilities. Like, heroes are very similar in the way they're built. Like, there's only a certain amount of variations you can have in your spells and your abilities and your passives and everything else. But it does get to the point where you go, if I can remove that hero, there's no direct counter to it, or there's nothing which really combats it, kind of thing. Okay, now I'm confusing you as well as myself while I'm doing this. Just think about it with balance in the draft. If you're banning, if you're picking, is there a counter? Is there someone that does the same thing? Is there a way to counter every single hero in the game? If there is, you have balance. If there is not, then you do not. Games struggle for it. Dota 2, at the moment, as it's progressing, we're having heroes added in without some of their counterparts, which balance them out. And it does cause imbalance with every single patch. But with more and more heroes that are created, we're getting closer and closer to the world of Dota 1, where we have our full range of heroes. And by the time of the International, we're probably going to have almost all the heroes, bar maybe 5 or 10, which haven't been added into the game. I'm talking about the next International coming up. And at that point, then you can go, well, awesome, amazing, we've now managed to complete our pool, but then they add in other heroes, because there's always that something new which comes in. League of Legends, I believe, adds a hero every single week or every single 2 weeks. It's the same for Heroes of Newerth now, because there's new stuff. They run on free-to-play, models. So if there's a new hero that you can buy in LoL, then it's like, awesome. Then they can make the revenue, which then pays for the eSports scene to advance. And that's the model which they work on and the community accepts and the community loves, because then they still get the money given back to them if they can perform well in the eSports scene. Let's move on from balance. And very, very briefly actually talk about where Dota even came from. Now, a lot of people will know Dota for, where is my little thing? Okay. This is my little thing, so this is what most people know Dota for. This is the Warcraft 3 engine. This is where Dota became big. Originally, it started in StarCraft. Started in Brood War, for instance, for example. Not example, for fact. And this is just something where you go, okay, this looks really old now for our sense, because Warcraft 3 is old. Warcraft 3 is really old. I think it's a 2003 Frozen Throne version. So it's a long, long time ago. But it came out as a game called Aeon of Strife, I believe was the title for it. And it was created a long time ago. Then it kind of split out into multiple things. It came out in Warcraft 3. It was then assembled by a guy called Eyul. Eyul actually now works for, would you believe, Valve. He is an employee over at Valve, and he is the guy who originally thought, okay, let's create Dota All-Stars. Because as I said, the game started off in Aeon of Strife, back in Brood War. Then it came over to Warcraft 3 Dota. And there were many, many developers who decided to grab different little things. They created new heroes, they did all this kind of thing. And then you created Dota, and it combined all of these things together into one spot. All the good things. It's basically just a compilation of all these great ideas combined into just one game. And that's kind of where Dota was formed. Then Gwinsu really started changing around the way you have different heroes, the way you build up your items, the different recipes kind of thing. Then you got to hand it over into IceFrog's hands. And IceFrog to this date still is the main developer. Anybody can develop Dota if the code is given out. But IceFrog is the main developer, he is the most respected one, and he's also the man who is not leading. It's not really the way Valve works, but he is one of the big guys behind the creation of Dota 2. Now, Dota 2, let me just stop that video for you all. A lot of people will remember this trailer. So this is the international trailer, which came out back last year. And IceFrog now develops with the rest of the team there. Just to give you a bit of an understanding of the way Valve works. Valve is an organization where no one is the lead. There's people with experience and people which are respected as far as community goes a little bit more, and their opinions weigh a little bit more heavily. And of course, we are talking about Gabe Newell, who is the co-founder of Valve. Eric Johnson is also a big one, which a lot of people look out for. But it's a full team. They don't see anybody as a higher ranking than somebody else. There's just this thing where they work as a team, they work as a squad. Everybody is level. Everybody works on what they want to work on. It's a very insane kind of concept for a developing company, but it works so well. And it kind of means that, well, our structure for Dota can change all the time. It just depends on what the people developing the game want to work on. But yeah, that's just letting you know a little bit about Valve. Dota 2 is their baby. It has IceFrog leading the way, so as far as the community goes, they do see Dota 2 created by Valve as the next generation of the movement on from Warcraft 3 Dota. Hence, there is really no opposition to the name Dota being used by Valve. There are some companies out there which do disagree with this, and this can get into a little bit more of a iffy kind of scenario of, do we really own the name Dota? And Blizzard themselves said, we own the name. Well, actually, they didn't say we. They said the community owns the name Dota.
In a tiny, trans-dimensional pocket universe, sit two dark and terrible gods.
Yeah, this trailer's a little bit more funnier. But this is Blizzard. They decided, you know what? If the community of the world owns the name Dota, why can we not create something as well? So we're going to create Blizzard Dota. It was made originally on an engine. It was created in StarCraft, owned by Blizzard. It was developed and made big on the Warcraft 3 engine, which is Blizzard's. And let's make something now for the StarCraft 2 engine. So that's what they did. Well, at least that's what they announced they were doing. We still haven't seen the game come out anywhere. Blizzard Dota is basically a thought in the mind. And they did it very, very jokingly. It was this thing where we will give you all of the Blizzard heroes into the world of Dota, but we wanted to change it. They wanted to have it more of a momentum-based kind of game, which is what League of Legends kind of is. It's the jungle buff kind of thing, and you gain that momentum and just keeps rolling you after that point. In this case, they decided to do it a little bit more differently, like limited ammo on towers. If you kill a creep, you don't gain money, you gain health back again. And it's like this thing of you just control the lanes more, and you just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's the way they thought about doing this. The weird thing about it, and the reaction most of the Dota community had to it, was, why should I be bothered? It's a completely different style game. And it's in a game where the genre is flooded, basically. We have things like, and people probably didn't even notice this game came out. There's a game called Demigod, and this was just one of many games out there which tried to take certain parts of Dota and form their own kind of game around it. So they created a more momentum kind of based game. They wanted to make it bigger. They wanted to make it epicer. They wanted to have like amazing maps that would change, so you'd have different areas where you do battle, and different lanes you could push out, and do it more about that kind of thing of momentum down different lanes with different towers, different items, and different abilities of certain heroes, and more special type abilities as well. And in the end, Demigod flopped. It was lacking a lot of things. It lacked a lot of fast action. It was just a pure momentum-based game. League of Legends deals with momentum, but it also has those big team fight kind of engagements where it felt with Demigod, it was just a push kind of game. And not everybody said, you know what, I don't know if I really enjoy this. And there were bugs, serious bugs, balance issues, stupid little things too, like if you'd buy boots, it looked like a shield. And it was just like, things like that just, it frustrates people when, like Warcraft 3 Dota people, they're always about their lore. They love the history of the game. They love the history of all this kind of stuff combined into one area where it's more than just 5 heroes going up against 5 heroes. It is Mirana going up against Terrorblade. And like a combination which you're like, oh my god, could this stuff even happen? And it made an epic storyline behind the whole thing. And people go, you know what? Hell yeah. I am living a game. I'm living the dream. I'm living the storyline. And that's what let me advance it forward. And things like that people want to hold on to. It's the reason why everybody creates lore in these games. There's always a history behind the heroes. Even if it's just like a history which you're like, oh, it was kind of good. Like I wasn't quite sure about it. I know they're just making it up. All lore is made up. Sorry for those World of Warcraft people out there who go, you know what, it's life, man. It's life. It's not really. It's made up by people who come up with very, very creative things. And that kind of stuff lets us live in a completely different world. Things are only available and doable in a mythical world of games. And that's the reason why we love our games, because we get to have this fun, dynamic kind of world that we get to influence and modify and create. So these kind of things would just make it go, you know what, I have control over a virtual world. Hell freaking yeah. Why do I love Minecraft so much? I can build anything I want to. Yeah. You get to control your inside world, and it gives a little bit more meaning to it. And that's what we always come for. Like these games, we spend a lot of time in it. We want to have the meaning for it, and it does make us very, very particular about the game we play. There's tiny details that affect everything in the end. And that's probably why Dota gamers are very fussy, LoL gamers will be fussy, HON players will be fussy, and they'll all sit in their own different worlds as well. They will always be, I'm a LoL player, I'm a Dota player, I'm a HON player. That's the reason why a lot of people, I notice a lot of you guys as well, who put comments in the chat going, you don't know what LoL is, you don't know what Dota is, you don't know what HON is. Take it easy on those guys. Dota 2 would never get to the point it could possibly get to. We're not there yet. We are building up. We're a beta community. But we're building up to a point where we can rival eSport legends like StarCraft 2 and like League of Legends. League of Legends is a training ground for people to understand Dota. It's not a training ground for people to play Dota because the gameplay is different. It's a different way. It's a different engine. It's a different way to play a game. There's different things which just change it around. Destructible environments, hitting up hills, to even have hills, to have the way heroes function and what heroes do what. They're 2, 3, 4, 5, however many freaking games in the genre, they're different ways of approaching it. But they have the core understanding that allows us as observers. I'm a commentator. The big thing for me is if you as a League of Legends person tune into a Dota stream, can you understand what's going on? The core concept, yes. It's like soccer. 2 goals, ball goes in, you score a goal. Dota, 2 thrones. Throne dies, you win. Fantastic. That's the core concept. Everything else which happens in the meantime is just different for every game and will change every game, and that's the kind of stuff you have to learn. And that's where the learning curve kicks in. A lot of people say Dota is the hardest game to learn. League of Legends is easy to learn. I can tell you right now, League of Legends is actually harder to learn, and it's probably the reason why I'll never commentate it, because I can't keep up with the heroes. There are so many heroes which keep coming out all the time, and there's a huge amount of heroes available to play. And because of that, that's where your learning curve is. If you're sitting there as a player and you go, I don't know what that hero is going to do to me, you have an unknown. And it's at that point you go, I don't know this game. That's why most people will stick to one game. Because to know every single hero of every single game is next to impossible. And to keep up with the changes of every single hero is impossible. You'll never know all the tiny little details which gets changed with every single chat log every single change log which comes out. I tried doing it for a period. I was commentating Heroes of Newerth as well as Dota, and to see these changes, and it was even harder then because some of the heroes' modifications or copies with small detailed changes, and those small detailed changes can change everything which happens inside the game. So because of that, to know the 2 different worlds, like try and speak 2 different languages, and then you get an update to the language every single week or 2. For the people out there who do speak multiple languages, you'll understand what I'm talking about. For people who don't, you have to imagine. But it's just this thing of, how do I understand every single word at once? And I don't think we can, but as observers and spectators, we can, because the core concept is the same. Every community that plays this genre of game, be it MOBA, Action RTS, Dota genre, we all understand the core concept. We all understand how it functions. The only thing we're missing is all that detail in the meantime. And that's what you get from watching the broadcast or playing. You get it from either way. So what I kind of want to say with the end of this, and we are going to finish up now. If you are from Dota, if you are from LoL, if you are from HON, if you are from any other game, if you're from Bloodline Champions, and I apologize, I didn't really say much about them today. If you're from any of these communities, there's no reason why you should be at war with each other, because basically you all support each other. League of Legends did something which no other Dota genre, RTS, MOBA, whatever frickin' game, it did what none other had done, and that's really push the eSports world. They made it a priority. Riot made it a priority. Valve, they're doing the same kind of thing, but it's different. They take their marketing budget and put it into one big event. And that big event gives the Dota 2 community inspiration to keep on moving forward. Riot take a different approach, where they try and ensure there's a season which keeps on going, and there's a decent amount of prize money for them, so the revenue which they make from you guys playing League of Legends then is passed back to the community. Heroes of Newerth does the same sort of thing. They give out money to different organizations so they can keep on running these different competitions. So they give back to the community as well. They run big events like a DreamHack and things like that. And that kind of developer influence in the community it's a huge influence. It's dangerous though when the developers do it themselves, because if they ever decide, you know what, we're going to cut back on the funding, then the community goes, well, I've now just lost my lifeline. Where's all that money gone? It's just not the same anymore, and the community starts to get massively depressed about it. You can have organizations like, you have a $1.6 million prize pool for Dota 2. And then you've got companies like myself, like Join Dota, where we run a $10,000 3-month competition. And people, it's like, well, that doesn't even compare, does it? But it does, because it's that continuous kind of stuff which keeps on going through the rest of the year. And then there's the big event which will happen. No one can really put up $1 million prize pool in eSports. There's just not enough money in the industry to do that. But it does support the community by giving it inspiration every single year. And League of Legends, they space it out. So it's a different way to approach. Every game has a different approach, but every game has a basic concept, and every game can live with each other. So stop the fighting, guys. Stop the fighting. Live. Why can't we be friends? Just not the Smash Mouth version. That was okay, but it was better as the original. Snap. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. If you haven't, if you've gone, oh my god, my brain just exploded, welcome to my world. My brain does it a lot. We'll be back next week with, who knows, your questions to decide. So leave your questions in the comment section below, and it'll give me inspiration for the next video to come out. Because really, this is for you guys. This question actually, there was a question, what is Dota? Came out from Mighty Nark Wower. I don't know how you actually say your name properly. I don't know if it was with a as well in the middle of it. But yeah, he actually asked, what is Dota? So the original concept was to go through and just say exactly what Dota is. It's impossible to do that. Like the timeline of Dota, there's been so many people which have done it out there. What I want to try and give to you is a little bit of understanding of just the different worlds and just the competition between each of the worlds and just how meaningless it is. It doesn't even need to be there. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you took something from this one. I look forward to your company next week. This has been the Razer Academy video. Hopefully you've learned Dota. If I hit my button right. Now we go.